Countdown to kickoff continuing. Let's head out to Oakland with Larry Beil of KGO News. Larry, how are you today?
Very well, thanks.
Oakland Raiders, failed draft picks. Most notably, Jamarcus Russell, trouble in the organization with Tom Cable last year. It seems like this team is a mess. Overall, what is Raider Nation's perception on Al Davis?
Wow. We could do several hours just on Al. I think a lot of people believe that it's not going to get better until Al is no longer in charge of the organization, and who knows when that will be. Meantime, they do have to line up and play football. So they were 8-8 last year in the midst of a lot of dysfunction with Tom Cable. He's gone now up in Seattle, and Hugh Jackson, who was the offensive coordinator, has been elevated to the role of head coach. And, if you spend any time around Hugh Jackson, he has this enthusiasm that's really infectious. I mean, he doesn't appear to ever have a down moment despite, whatever's going on or who gets hurt. And the Raiders have a slew of injuries in training camp. And that, I think, is going to be the biggest challenge that they have, the normal dysfunction in the organization aside.
Trading away Zach Miller was obviously a huge move, but they did land Kevin Boss. Is that an upgrade or downgrade?
Some people think it's an upgrade. I mean, I think the Raiders were caught a little bit by surprise, and so was Zach Miller, because he was expecting a contract extension for some time that never came, and then when free agency started in the post-lockout scenario, he was expecting a contract that did not come. And the Raiders were saying all the time, oh yeah, he's top priority, so I don't know who you want to believe there, but Boss is a better blocker and a pretty big target in the red zone. The thing that you lose with Zach Miller, aside from a guy that went to the Pro Bowl and had some experience with the Raiders, is that he was Jason Campbell's kind of security blanket or safety blanket on third and whatever. When you really need the possession to continue, Zach Miller made those catches. And down the middle of the field, he was a guy who got open. And so can Kevin Boss be that guy? Well, possibly. He needs somebody who's going to be reliable catching the football, and hopefully Kevin Boss will be that guy. Otherwise, they're really going to have problems.
Is that the biggest hole then, wide receiver?
Well, I think the wide receiver, again, they have guys. Jacoby Ford made some spectacular plays last season, and Schillens is capable of making plays, and Darrius Heyward-Bey, I mean, maybe someday.
I'm sensing a lot of frustration here.
Yeah, well, that's Raider football over the past 7-8 years. It's a bunch of guys that you hope can do something, but it doesn't really ever quite come together. And it's a huge season for DHB, because if you recall the draft a few years ago, the Raiders took him over Michael Crabtree, and everybody thought he was nuts, and the 49ers, or that Al was nuts, and they ended up with Crabtree at San Francisco. They've both been lousy. Neither one of them has done anything. And so when you're spending first-round picks on guys that don't produce, yeah, it does get frustrating.
Can't you argue, though, that a wide receiver is only as good as his quarterback makes him, and they've had trouble at quarterback?
Well, yeah. I mean, Jamarcus Russell is not the guy that you want throwing the football for you, no doubt. But in DHB's case, there's been a lot of drops. There's been plays to be made. The ball has been there. He hasn't made the plays. And so it's all together. I mean, when you look at the New England Patriots, do they look better when Tom Brady's throwing the football? Well, sure they do. But, a couple of years ago, Matt Castle came in, and he looked like he was great. And that's what got him the big contract with the Chiefs. So, yeah, it's great if you have an all-pro quarterback, but I don't know that you necessarily have to have one. If you have receivers who catch the balls and make plays and have speed, you can have success. The Raiders haven't been able to put all of that together in one offensive scheme, and that's why Hugh Jackson is the head coach, because Al Davis thinks he can.
Just a few more questions for you, Larry. The defense put up real solid numbers last year. Many would argue a big part was having Nnamdi Asomugha. How big of a loss was this?
I think it was significant, and Nnamdi was a great guy to have on the field and off, because he's a good person. If you ever talk with Nnamdi, I mean, he's not a knucklehead. He really was committed to winning football and playing for the Raiders. Having said that, the Raiders didn't go to the playoffs with Nnamdi Asomugha. And whether you want to commit 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, $15 million long term or for a multi-year deal for Nnamdi, I think Al Davis was thinking, well, it hasn't really worked out with him, and it becomes a large chunk of money to commit. Now, Chris Johnson, who's one of their starting cornerbacks, penciled in, he's hurt. You got Stanford Roud, you got Michael Huff. None of these guys have been huge playmakers, and so they're going to get targeted a lot. And it's not going to be one of these deals where, okay, half the field is off limits because Nnamdi's over there. I mean, nobody ever really threw at his side very much. So it's going to be different for the defense. I think they will miss some of his leadership. But they have, you have Richard Seymour, you have Tommy Kelly, that defensive line, if they could stop the run and put pressure on the quarterback, any defensive back will tell you, you get pressure on the quarterback, it makes the secondary look a lot better. I think that's really going to be more the key than losing one individual guy.
Lastly, Larry, we do this with everybody we bring on. We have to ask you, over, under 6.5 wins this year for the Raiders. What do you think?
I think they'll be over, but not by a wide margin. I mean, they went 8-8 last year. I think they'll be right in the same neighborhood this year. 7-9, 8-8, maybe 9-7. I don't know. I mean, it's been so long since they've really won. It's hard to. My buddy at Yahoo, Mike Silver, has predicted playoffs and AFC title, I think, for the Raiders, and so
wow.
I'm not sure what's going on there or what, because I think that's more his belief in Hugh Jackson. But we're going to know soon because the Raiders open on the road at Denver, and then they go to Buffalo. Now, neither of those teams is really strong, but you open with 2 road games. Then you're home for the Jets and Patriots. The Raiders should know in the first month of the season exactly where they're at.